Have you ever been pushed so far that you had no choice but to fight back, even if it meant going against the very people who claim to control your life? That's what happened to me. I was fined $1,000, yes, fined, just for swimming in my own lake, on the property that I paid for with my hard-earned money. But instead of bowing down to their arrogance, I decided to fight fire with fire. And in the end, well, let's just say the same HOA Karen who thought she owned me ended up paying 5 times more than she ever expected. But this isn't just a story about revenge. It's about standing up for yourself, for fairness, and for the simple right to enjoy what belongs to you. Stick with me until the end, because what started as one petty fine turned into a battle that changed everything. The morning it all began, the sun was bright and golden over the still waters of my lake. I had moved into this neighborhood for peace, for quiet, for a life away from the chaos of the city. I worked long hours to earn this place, 40 acres of land and a private lake that my father and I had once fished in when I was a boy. It wasn't just property, it was history, family, and home. That morning, I decided to take a swim. It was something I did often, a way to clear my head and feel alive. As I stepped out of the water, towel around my shoulders, a woman's voice pierced the calm. "Excuse me. What do you think you're doing?" It was Karen. Everyone knew her. She was the self-appointed queen of the Homeowners Association, a woman whose life seemed to revolve around rules, fines, and gossip. She wore oversized sunglasses, carried a clipboard like it was a badge of honor, and spoke as if the world had to bend to her will. "I'm swimming in my lake," I said calmly, wringing out my hair. "Actually," she replied, flipping through her papers, "that lake is community property. No unsupervised swimming is allowed. You'll be fined $1,000 for this violation." At first, I laughed, thinking she had to be joking. But when the letter arrived the next day, official letterhead, signed, sealed, and stamped, I realized she was serious. $1,000. For swimming. In the water I had grown up on. Anger boiled inside me, but beneath it was something deeper, disbelief. I had bought my land fair and square. The lake wasn't community property. It was mine. The deed said so. My father had left it to me in his will. But when I showed Karen the paperwork, she smirked. "HOA rules override personal claims," she said smugly. "If you don't like it, you're welcome to leave." Those words cut deep. This wasn't just about money anymore. It was about dignity. It was about being bullied in my own home. The days that followed were filled with harassment. Notices appeared on my door for overgrown grass, though my yard was trimmed. Threats of towing came for my pickup truck, though it was parked in my own driveway. Karen had found her target, and she wasn't going to let up. But what she didn't know, what no one in the HOA knew, was that I wasn't some helpless man with no options. I was patient. And I had resources. And I was done being pushed around. I started by digging into the HOA itself. I requested financial records, board meeting notes, and contracts, all rights every homeowner has, though most never think to use them. What I found was worse than I imagined. Mismanaged funds. Unapproved expenses. Inflated salaries for board members, especially for Karen, who conveniently paid herself for administrative services. The more I uncovered, the angrier I became. But I didn't want to just expose her. I wanted her to feel the same powerlessness she had tried to force on me. So I went to the county clerk's office and reviewed the original HOA charter. Buried in the fine print was a clause: any homeowner with more than 10% ownership of community land could call for a reassessment of HOA fees. And guess what? My lake, yes, the very lake Karen fined me for, made me the single largest landholder in the community. That meant I had a voice louder than hers. I called for a special board meeting. Karen showed up, smug as always, convinced she'd find another excuse to humiliate me. The room was full of neighbors, some tired of her antics, others too afraid to speak up. When my turn came, I laid out the documents on the table. The financial mismanagement. The misuse of funds. The clause in the charter that no one had ever bothered to read. And then I made my move. As the largest landholder in this community, I said, looking directly at Karen, I propose a reassessment of HOA fees. Effective immediately, fees will be raised by $5,000 annually, specifically for board members. The room gasped. Karen's face turned pale. She stammered, You can't do that. But I could. And I did. The vote passed. She tried to argue, but with the paperwork in front of everyone, there was no denying it. The queen of fines, the woman who thought she could bully me out of my own home, now had to pay 5 times more than she ever fined me. In the weeks that followed, Karen sold her house. Couldn't afford the fees. Couldn't handle the shame. And for the first time in years, the neighborhood was peaceful. But this wasn't about revenge. Not really. It was about balance. About standing up when you're pushed down. About reminding bullies, no matter what form they take, that they don't get the final word. As I stood once again by my lake, the water reflecting the sunset, I felt something I hadn't felt since this all began: peace. Not because I had won, but because I had proven that fairness still mattered. And to anyone listening who's ever felt powerless against rules that don't make sense, or people who try to control what's yours, remember this. Sometimes the fight isn't just about protecting your property, it's about protecting your right to live free.